11 of your artist development plan. This is on setting up your publishing. And this isn't necessarily publishing, the act of publishing. This is just setting it up, okay, to make sure that you're ready when you want to go perform or record, and getting ready for your publishing. So it's not necessarily about publishing in general, it's just about the setup of it, okay? And look how many things it's tied to. So publishing is tied to everything in green. So it's tied to content creation, content protection, management, your business, your contracts, financing, PROs, your team, and then preparing for product development. Publishing touches every one of these. So you might want to consider that when you're going through your idea of what you're going to do for music publishing. So publishing is anytime you take your music or your art and you release it to the public. Now you can release it on stage. You're going to play a new song. You haven't ever played it before. You are now publishing. You can release it online. Let's say you put it on your Facebook page or on your website. That's publishing. If you want to take your music and put it on SoundCloud or TuneCore or Reverb Nation, that's publishing. So you are publishing as soon as you take your music and let the public hear it or see it, okay? Something along those lines. So in addition to live performances and sales of recording, one of the main sources of income for artists in the music industry is that of licensing songs, i.e. publishing, okay? So licensing comes through publishing, because if you're going to take your music and put it into a movie or a television commercial or a game show or anything like that, you are actually issuing a license for the person who wants to use your material in their product, and you're issuing them a license for them to use something that you own or control. That's what publishing is. So many artists that I deal with, especially the new ones who haven't understood this, they go ahead and put some songs up on YouTube. They don't have it registered copyright, and they put it up on YouTube in hopes that people will pay attention to it and la, la, la. Well, it's published, okay? So if it's a super hit song and someone wants to, and hears it and wants to use it, now that it's been published, they don't have to pay first right. They can pay the mechanical royalty of 9.1 cents per song per replication. That could be a big ouch. So we talked about first right, I believe, in another class. So first right, let me remind you, is if the song has never been published, you can charge whatever you want for the person who wants to make a recording of it or put it into a movie or anything along those lines, because it's never. If you make a demo and you write on there that it's a demo, it's not being published. It's a demo. It's a demonstration. So you can send a demo to a record label. That does not mean it's published. If the record label recognizes, sorry about that. If the record label recognizes that it is a first right, which means no one has ever had it, the value of it does go up, because they recognize that no one has ever released this song before and that they have the first right to its use. Okay, so this is all part of the publishing plan of what we're talking about. If the artist is a songwriter, the consideration of preparing to publish is an important part of the artist development plan. Okay, you're going to prepare to publish. So what you're going to do here is either you're going to publish your own material, or you're going to license your material to a third-party music publisher. We'll talk about that in just a second. So what do publishers do? Okay, so publishers pitch songs. It's kind of like an agent. Agent finds a job for an artist to perform. That's what agents do. Well, a publisher finds a job for the song. So the publisher's out there networking and building relationships with, record companies, movie soups, um, advertising agencies, record producers, trying to find a way that the song that they represent can be used in somebody else's product. Okay, so publish songs to artists, producers, music soups, film directors, record labels, game designers, collaborators, companies, all in hopes that they can use that material, either the C circle copyright or the P circle copyright or both. Typically, publishers pitch the C circle copyright. That's what they do. That's their job. So one of the examples I gave earlier this semester was that a songwriter is, and I'll use myself as an example. I'm writing a song. I sit down at the piano. I write the song. I finish the song. I take the piece of paper. I put it on the pile of all my other songs, and I go start and write another song. That's a songwriter's job. However, I take that piece of paper off the piano and I go to a local band. Maybe it's my band, even though I'm not in one, but you know what I mean. If you go to a local musician and say, hey, I wrote this song. Perhaps you'd like to perform it live. What am I doing? I'm doing the publisher's job. And the publisher's job is to, try and find a use for the song. So that's what they do. Publishers ensure that all the songs have a registered copyright. They're not going to be pitching songs that have no C circle copyright to it. So they're going to be looking at content protection for anything they represent to make sure that it's protected before they start pitching it. So what happens is the songwriter, if he's pitching it, he or she is pitching it themselves, then they're their own publisher. If they license that song to a third-party music publisher, now they are no longer the publisher, the music publisher is, and the music publisher is going to make sure that the C circle copyright is completed, and then they will then have the right, because of the license that they've obtained from the songwriter, to pitch that material to another party. Exactly how that works, okay? So here's what happens. Let's say you want to have your song pitched to a third-party music publisher. Process. You set up an appointment or you get permission to send them a demo of a recording. And sometimes they will take sheet music. Let's say they love the song. And let's just say you've written 20 songs. But they love this song, this one song that you pitched to them. They think it's great. They realize that it's going to be a hit and they want it. So they issue you a single song publishing agreement. You go, wait a minute, I got 19 other songs. And they go, no, we only want this one. And here's a single song publishing agreement. And you go, but what about my other 19? They say, well, we're not interested in those. We're only interested in this one. And here's our agreement. Here's our contract. So then they start promoting the song. They find an artist. Let's say they find a superstar artist to record the song and to promote it. So the artist then puts it out, and let's just say it goes to number one, right off the bat, number one. And it maintains at number one. It becomes a mega hit. Well, the publisher obviously is going to come knocking on your door again. Hey, that was great. You got any more songs? When you said, yeah, I told you I have another 19 of them. Well, let's listen to those. And they'll listen to them again and they'll say, oh, here's another one. We'll issue a single song publishing agreement for this one song. And you go, what about my other 18? They go, well, we'll talk about that if this. Okay, so they're not going to sign all songs up to do this. So they'll sign up the second one for a single song publishing agreement. And they'll do the same thing. We'll promote it, try and get to a producer, record label, etc. Try and get someone to, use it on their product. So now, let's say it also goes to number one. They're going to come knocking on your door again, and so are all the other publishers out there and saying, hey, did you only license 2 songs? What other songs do you got? And at this point, so will artists. Artists will come knocking on your door and go, hey, how about a co-write? You want to do something? Do you got any songs that I can use? You've got 2 number ones. What else you got? And so now you go back to your repertoire and you say, I've got these 18 other songs. Now the publisher is going to say, I want them all. I was wrong at the beginning. I want them all. So then you can sign them all over, license them all over, or you can hang on to them and publish them yourself. But let's just say you sign them all over. So what might happen at that point is the publisher may offer you a staff writing deal. Okay, so as a staff writer for a publishing company, you typically, if you're new there, they want you to come into the office and write on their premises. So they'll team you up with other writers and they'll try and get you to do some co-writing, and they'll send you in this little 8x8 room for 8 hours a day, and you sit in there and you try and come up with some songs. And there's usually a piano in there and maybe a bench for a guitar player to sit on, maybe a music stand or something along those lines. And your job is to write. That's it. You're a writer now. Okay, so they then want to make sure that you're writing hit material that they're going to make money from. So they will put you on salary, which is an advance, really, through royalties. And your job is to come up with 1 quality hit song per month. So by the end of the year, they're hoping that you're going to come up with 12 great songs. Right? I mean, it took you how many years to come up with the 20? And now they want you to start writing and writing and writing every day, and writing 8 hours a day, or a lot. This is your full-time job. But they're there to promote you and to get these songs promoted and to try and make some money off these songs and so forth and so on. So that's kind of the process that songwriters go through when they're going from becoming a beginning songwriter up to becoming a staff writer for a publishing company. And just remember, when you sign a deal with a publishing company, any money that comes in gets split 50-50. Publishing company gets half, and the songwriter gets half. If the songwriter co-writes, then they split the songwriter's half. The trick here that I often hear in the industry is that publishers say, hey, how about we publish your stuff? Just remember, you maintain 100% of the songwriting royalties. What does that mean? That means that they retain 100% of the publishing royalties and you maintain 100% of the songwriting royalties. That's a 50-50. Okay? So you got to know the wording when you're getting into this, because a lot of times especially publishers who are not, they're fly-by-nights. They will say, hey, we're not taking anything other, we're not going to take any of your songwriting songwriting royalties. That belongs 100% to you. But really what that means is that they're going to keep 100% of the publishing and you get your 100% of the songwriting, which still is a 50-50 deal. Okay, so publishers co-promote the end use of songs through recordings and movies and games and so forth. And their job is to promote the song and protect the song. So that means that they're out looking to see if anybody's using the song illegally. And that way they can then send them cease and desist or take them to court. They'll do all of that. Okay, so they're promoting the songs, but if they find someone's using the song illegally, they will pursue legal options. Okay. So these publishers control this C-Circle copyright once you've licensed it over to them. That's their gig. That's why they have this. And please be aware that there's, 2 of these intellectual properties that are also part of this, but not really through publishers. This is through the P Circle and the R Circle. This is all intellectual property that goes on, okay? And also remember that once an artist creates a tangible form of a lyric or melody and writes down the music, they own that composition. It's not registered, but they own it based on the copyright laws, okay? Publishing is the money tree. At the early stages of an artist's career, most artists make money by performing. However, if they're doing it right, they're also going to be making money on publishing while they're performing. And in the long term, publishing is going to make them a lot more money than performing. No, this is a big part of the money tree, okay? Music publishing is tedious, it's detail-oriented, and some would say boring. But it also happens to be the single most enduring source of income in this ever-changing entertainment industry that we have found ourselves in, okay? The money just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we grow with our content. Music industry, a music publisher is responsible for ensuring that songwriters and composers receive payment when their compositions are used. An artist licenses their content to a music publisher. The music publisher then licenses that content to a third-party producer, movie director, et cetera, someone who wants to use it in a final product, okay? So publishing basically is the pitching of the song to find a commercial use for the song, some way that the song's going to make some money. And this is a whole different industry than that of songwriting, as you can tell. Okay, this is the next step after the songs are created. Finding a way to get paid. This is how they make money, and this is how songwriters make money. Okay, so songwriters make money by publishing. You can't just make money by having your song sitting on your piano. Not going to work. You have to get someone to use that song in a gig, in a recording, in a movie, in a video. Somehow they got to be able to use that music, and that's what we'll do. They create a demand for the songs, and that means that they want to make sure that it's quality. Okay? We keep talking about quality in this course. Well, quality, quality, quality. This is what publishers are looking for. Quality material, okay? It's hard, it's time consuming, and not every songwriter wants to spend their creative energy chasing the pennies. And these pennies turn into dollars and turn into more dollars and more dollars, but you got to understand at the beginning, you're getting 9.1 cents per song. Doesn't sound all that great, does it? But if you get a million seller, that's 91,000 bucks. Just from the replication of those products or those songs, okay? So in return, the publisher licenses the compositions, monitors where the compositions are used, collects the royalties, keeps a percentage, 50-50, and distributes the rest to the creators. That's what they do, okay? They also secure commissions for music, promote existing compositions to recording artists, record producers, as well as music soups of film and television companies. Remember I told you that I wanted to maximize all income sources? Well, publishing is a major income source. I'd also mention this story. An artist that goes and plays a live gig, and they get paid $100 and they go home, they're happy they made their $100. Great, that's active income. If they record that gig and go home and put it up on their website and then do some streaming with it, now they can start making publishing money. So the smart artists are the ones who are doing active income and passive income. Publishing is a passive income. I call it mailbox money. It just shows up. So if you're self-publishing and not dealing with a third-party music publisher, it's my contention that you're going to need to put on that publishing hat and not just say, yeah, I'm self-publishing, but not doing the work of a publisher. not trying to find a use for your songs other than yourself. So if you're self-publishing and you're playing your own gigs and you put out your own recordings and you do your own videos, that's fine. But it's limited. You're not going to make the resources that you could if you got other people to use your material. One of my clients says he's never going to give up his publishing. He's going to always be his own publisher. And I said, okay, well, that's great. How many hours a week are you going to be putting into your new company? And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if you're doing your own publishing, that means you own your own publishing company. Are you willing to put in part-time work, 20 hours a week? I can't do 20 hours a week. I said, okay. Are you going to put in 10 hours a week? Oh, I'm not going to do that either. I said, okay. Are you going to put in a couple hours a week? Well, if I can. You know, he's an excellent songwriter. Never going to make any money on this publishing. So if you're a performer and you wrote your single and have no publisher, then yep, you are the publisher. Okay, does it make sense then if you're the publisher that you should come up with a publishing company name? Do you remember what I said about acting professional? If you're going to do your own publishing, please keep in mind that you're going to be doing a separate company. And if it's a separate company, do you think that maybe that company needs a business plan? I hope you're understanding where I'm going with this. It's more work. But you're doing your own publishing, and don't you think that publishing company needs its own trademark, its own logo? Don't you think it needs to be able to be out there as a separate company than the artist? Absolutely. If you were to call Steven Spielberg as an artist and say, hey, I'm one great artist out of Cleveland, Ohio, I'd like to see if you could use my music. He's going to say, hey, buddy, do you have a publisher? Now, if you call up Steven Spielberg and say, hey, I'm one great publisher out of Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm representing a songwriter, and I would like you to consider some of the music that we're publishing, do you think you might take it a little bit more seriously? Think about it from that perspective, okay? You act like a professional, you get treated like a professional. All right, let's take a look at the next thing. Okay, we talked about this. As soon as a songwriter asks someone to perform their content, they are now wearing the publishing hat. Okay, so there's a lot of hats up there, including if they're in their own band. So if you're in a band and you want your band to play one of your new songs, you are the publisher. You are pitching the song to your own band. So you're already acting like a publisher. And if you're doing that, what are you supplying to the band? Chord charts, lyrics, maybe a score or breaks or an arrangement? Yes, you're acting as a publisher. You're supplying the song to the band that you're in, but you're acting like a publisher at that point. So you could go from a songwriter to a publisher. Then you could get into the band and start rehearsing as a musician. So you're already wearing 3 hats. Okay? Okay, that's the job of the publisher. The song plugging hat is the publishing hat. And many songwriters are publishers and don't even know it. Songwriters are in the publishing business when they pitch a song that they own and or control. Until and unless a songwriter assigns the publishing rights of their songs to someone else, such as a music publisher, that songwriter is his or her own music publisher. However, it does not mean that that songwriter is necessarily an effective music publisher. Right? If the songwriter is not prepared to make the investment of creating a staff, a fully functional publishing branch, they will only do their songs a disservice. So this is what I was talking about, starting up another company, your publishing company. Perhaps the artist wants to write songs all day, but still own the publishing company. Well, maybe it would be a good idea to bring someone on board to help them run their publishing company. Or maybe do a co-op with another publisher, saying, hey, we'll get this in together. Or maybe hire a company like Bug Publishing, who just does the administrative stuff and does no pitching of the songs. All they do is collect the royalties. That's a 5% deal. So there's other kinds of things out there that you... A dedicated songwriter should focus on the love of one's craft, but there's no denying the income potential from publishing and songwriting is one of the highest in the music industry. This is where the dollars come. It is only by knowing exactly how music publishing works that a songwriter can become an effective publisher. Whether the artist is a writer, a publisher, or owns a record label, or all three, they should be aware of music publishing basics and exactly how the music publishing generates income. They need to know all the ingredients that go into making this work. And just because a songwriter can be their own publisher does not mean they're going to be good at being a publisher. Prepare to hire the staff, do the legwork, and complete all the additional work. It's essentially a whole new business. And some of you I know are going to go, ouch, I don't want to do that. And if that's okay, if that's the case, try and attract a third-party music publisher to do this for you, but please keep in mind they're going to take half. Any questions?